something big had happened, and that is that we had taken pretty much every computer that was worth connecting and connected it all to the same network. You know, that it was easy to communicate back and forth in 1995. 1985, it wasn't. 1985, computers might call each other in the middle of the night when long-distance calling rates were, you know, cheap or something. In 75, it was even worse than that. The internet was new, and so I had a community that I wanted to bring together. We set out to create a new literature, and I said, well, we're going to create a new literature. We've got to make a, well, I didn't call it Wiki at the time, but we need to make one of these things to write in, and it came together very quickly. And when I was writing in it, I thought, well, this is really going to work great, and so it needs a special name. So I called it Wiki. I thought, you know, if I open this up to the whole world, I could find 100 people who know what I'm talking about. And if those 100 people kind of piece together their knowledge, we could put it into a coherent whole that none of us could do individually. And that coherent whole, you know, could change the world. And it did. And it might have been 1,000, not 100 by the time we were done. But the thing is, people came in and found how their experience fit in with other experience to tell a complete story where none of us could tell a complete story before that. Now, is that the crowd? I don't know. It didn't seem like a crowd to me. It seemed like we cast out a net and we drew in the people who were ready to contribute. And there was a tendency to say, here's what I don't know. Somebody explain it to me. And that's actually kind of boring reading. So I just said, instead, just write down what you know. Say, well, I know this and I know this. And just stop. And the next person will come by and they'll learn 2 things. The next person will learn 2 things. The next person comes along and says, well, you forgot 3 and 4. And they'll come in and they'll just fill it out. So you're in a sense, by stating what you know about the situation, the incomplete story, and just letting it stand, somebody else will figure out that there's missing pieces and provide them. You know, I think it's the same in Wikipedia. You know, they talk about how many, you know, thousands or millions of contributors they have, but really on any given page, it's a handful of people who cared about that subject and made that page good. You know, it's not a crowd at all. It's just the people who chose to work on the project. What will community be like on the net 10 years from now? Yeah, I'm not good at forecasting, but I do feel a lot of pressure on everybody who spends any time on the net to do this or do that or do something else. And when I step back, I think, well, you know, the internet was ignored. You know, it grew up out of universities hooking their computers together, and it had a very egalitarian feel to it, and that has disappeared. I think there's a battle to, in a sense, own the internet. The thing that would really hurt is if we chopped it up into pieces. If we take the internet and say, well, you know, rich people will use this internet, and Arab-speaking people will use that internet, and Chinese people will use this internet, and poor people, you know, will get this temporary internet, or what, you know, and it's not all the same net. I'm more interested in using community to do the jobs that can't be done any other way. That there are things that humans working together can cause to happen that just won't happen without them forming a community and making it happen. So I've watched quite a number of wikis, you know, be developed and ideas tried and so forth. I made the first one in 1995 in March, and I think by April it had already been cloned. You know, there are many clones of the idea. I was a little insulted at the first time, but then I realized, no, that's really good. I didn't make a technology, I made a school, you know, where people would invent technology in the style of Ward. You know, that was neat. I think it also helps to have an idea that what you bring to the community is a gift, that you're giving to the community. You don't lose it when you let other people have it. And that kind of mentality, is very important. A lot of Wikipedia is written by people who work very hard, and their name's not on there. They are okay with just knowing that they did it. That finding the joy of giving, I think, is really important.